It's time for This Week in WordPress, episode number 288, entitled, I Can Create Buckets of Time. It was recorded on Monday, the 26th of February, 2024. My name's Nathan Wrigley, and I'll be joined today by my co-host, Michelle Frechette, and also by guests Mark Benzacane and Paul Halfpenny. It's a WordPress podcast, so, we're going to talk about WordPress. First up, we talk about the fact that in WordPress 6.5, we will have a new image option. We'll be able to upload AVIF images. We also talk about some of the other things which are coming. For example, the block bindings API, the Interactivity API, and the fact that you'll be able to manage your fonts all within WordPress. We talk about events, WordCamp Europe and WordCamp Asia, which is coming up next week. We also get into a conversation about accessibility on the Make and WordCamp websites, and Behinds has a few bits and pieces to say about that. We also get into, by coincidence, the fact that Mark has an update to MainWP, a big update to 6.5, there's a couple of nice new features coming there, and Paul is launching a new plugin called Personalize WP, so we have a look at that, and congratulations to Michelle Frechette for getting a new, improved role at Post Status. It's all coming up next on This Week in WordPress. This episode of the WP Builds podcast is brought to you by GoDaddy Pro, the home of managed WordPress hosting that includes free domain, SSL, and 24/7 support. Bundle that with the Hub by GoDaddy Pro to unlock more free benefits to manage multiple sites in one place, invoice clients, and get 30% off new purchases. Find out more at go.me/WP Builds. Hey, hello. Episode number 288, it says there, 288 of This Week in WordPress. I know. When I started the show, I was hoping I'd get to 289, so only 1 week left.
What happens when you get to 289?
I have no idea, but it's going to be
290.
Good. It's
290.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go for 290. I've changed my mind. That's where we're at. We're on to 288 of This Week in WordPress. We were supposed to be joined by Jess Frick, but sadly, Jess contacted me this morning to say that she was not feeling all that well. And as luck would have it, we've been able to swap one co-host for another. You see, Michelle, I got it in, right? We're joined by Michelle Frechette, who stepped in literally at the 11th hour. I messaged her about an hour ago and said, are you free? And she said, yes, of course I am. So there she is, co-host Michelle Frechette. How are you doing?
I am good, thank you. It's good to be here.
Yeah, thank you. We're going to share something really cool about Michelle's flat in a moment. Well, not in a moment, probably towards the end. But let's give Michelle her proper bio. It's fulsome. It says Michelle Frechette is the Director of Community Engagement for Stellar WP at Liquid Web. In addition to her work at Stellar WP, Michelle is also the podcast barista at WP Coffee Talk, co-founder of underrepresentedintech.com, creator of WP career pages, the president for the board of BigOrangeHeart.org, Director of Community Relations and contributor at poststatus.com, author, business coach, and frequent organizer and speaker at WordPress events. She lives outside Rochester, New York, where she's an avid nature photographer. You'll see that. You can find out more about her website, meetmichelle.online. So yes, Michelle, once again, thank you for joining us as our regular co-host. Appreciate it.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. We're also joined by two folk who've actually, by pure coincidence, got things that are kind of important and timely. Yeah. So at some point later on during the podcast, we will be sort of showing off bits and pieces that they've been working on. First of all, let's start with kind of over there. It's Paul Halfpenny. How you doing, Paul? Thank you, Michelle. That's very helpful.
I'm very well, thank you. I'm trying to get used to these things, which I usually have headphones that go in your ear.
In-ear job.
Yeah. Just kind of, but I wanted to join in with you three because you're all like,
oh yeah,
you cut the headphones.
Yeah, that's
so
it.
Like,
we're all doing the big headphones.
I'll do the headphones, but it's a bit weird. Like it's a bit echoey.
Yes, well, I can totally sympathise with that. My ears are not functioning as normal, and just to give you some insight, this ear, this one's hearing This one's hearing like about 2% or something. Functionally, I'm deaf, except this high-pitched version of you. So whenever you speak, I get normal Paul quietly in this one, and then I get like high-pitched, as if you're on helium. Yeah, exactly. Don't do that. That's really loud. I mean, not loud. That's really high-pitched. Anyway, there's Paul. Paul is the CTO of a WordPress agency in the UK called Filter. And he's also the founder of the tool that we mentioned earlier, Personalize WP. We'll have a little bit of a prod around that a little bit later. But thank you for joining us, Paul. Fully appreciate it. And also, last but by no means least, down there is Mark Benzakine. I'm never remembering how to do your surname. Is it Kine or Keen or?
It's benzocaine, like the
Cane.
medication,
Okay.
which I say every time. So
Like candy cane.
Oh,
That's
like
Novocaine.
candy cane,
Novocaine.
benzocaine. Yeah,
Yeah.
I am a topical ointment, basically. Yeah.
I think candy sounds a lot nicer, but
Yeah.
you do you. You do
It
you.
does. It actually does, and I've never thought of that. And yeah,
Mark
I like
Candy
that far
Cane. Yeah, I
better.
like
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So Mark Benzakine is he's been involved in the WordPress community for well over 13 years. For 10 of those years, he was a member of the team which made up ServerPress. He's now the marketing lead for MainWP, which has had a great big release coming up this week. I think Mark said it was tomorrow, so we'll get a bit of a sneak peek of a couple of the features coming into that. He's an easy-to-use, privacy-focused WordPress management. Sorry, it is. I apologize. An easy-to-use, privacy-focused WordPress management dashboard. As well as that, he's also involved in Site District, a collaborative managed WordPress host with a focus on performance and security. So
I
there
might
we
also
go.
add that I am also easy to use.
Yeah. Oh. I love it. Yeah, that's great. Okay, so that's going to be our panel for today. Just a few bits of housekeeping. If you wish to join us, that would be lovely. I mean, primarily this goes out as a podcast tomorrow at some point, but we do have a few people who drop in and share comments. If you want to do that, the best place to go is here. Why not copy and paste that URL into your browser of choice and then go and splurge it through a social media platform like Twitter or X or Facebook or whatever. It's wpbuilds.com/live. You'll find us there at the moment. If you want to comment, you need to be logged into Google. You can use the box on the side and it's got YouTube comments. Alternatively, if you look in the window playing the video itself, right in the top right-hand corner, it is a little black box. It says live chat. And you can implement that. You can use that and you don't need to be logged into anything. This is going away, actually. I don't know, Michelle, if you've got any insight into this, but the Facebook group functionality, Facebook are going to strip out the API to broadcast into a Facebook group as of, I think it's April the 1st. So we've either got to figure a workaround out or it'll just go away. But if you are in the Facebook group right at the minute, we won't know who you are unless you click a new tab and go to wave.video/lives/Facebook and then click the confirm button, and it allows Facebook to tell us who you are, which is kind of nice. But yeah, going away.
Put your name in your comments so we know.
Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah, that's a good way of doing it, isn't it? You can, if you want to be anonymous, you can, or kind of anonymous from Facebook. You can do it that way. Thank you to Courtney, who showed up. She says, Mark, how do you not have glasses? Yeah, what the heck, Mark? Why haven't you got bad eyesight like the rest of us?
And the truth of the matter is, I do have bad eyesight. And about 3 years ago, my eyes went in the direction that of when I look at the computer with my glasses on, everything is blurry. So everything is actually in very clear focus when I'm sitting at the computer. And the only time I need to wear glasses now is when I drive.
Oh, okay. I got a new pair of glasses about 3 months ago under strict instructions that I should only ever wear them in front of the screen. But because I spend so much time in front of the screen, like so much time, I completely forget to take them off. So when I walk away, I'm supposed to, do that. And I've got the old man.
I love that.
Cord. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I thought to myself, there's no way I'm going to be able to commit to that habit if I just put them down somewhere and wander off, which is what I do. I'll never remember where they are. So that whole thing of taking them on, putting them off, taking them off will become even harder. But I never do that. I just never take them off. So now my eyes have become dependent upon.
If you're like me, you can't see no matter what. So like not having your glasses on is never an option.
Yeah,
I do swap.
Yeah.
I have bifocals for real life, and then I have computer glasses.
What I really need is a pair of those old man glasses, which is like the half moon, like a line, and then I can just
that's what these are.
Oh, really?
I would need trifocals for computer as well. So
Well, and what I do is with my glasses, I put them up on my head, which they say every time I go to the optometrist, he says that's the worst thing you can do for your glasses because it tweaks them out. And I'm always getting them adjusted. And they're like, get out of that habit. And I don't. I just put them up on my head and then I forget I have them there.
The librarian chain like Nathan has, so that
yeah, I'm all for the librarian.
Yeah.
Is that what they call the librarian chain? Yeah, I'll go.
I don't know.
Anyway,
I happen to be dating a person who doesn't want me to do anything that makes me look like an old man, and I think that might include part of it.
I've so given up on not looking like an old man.
You know what? I feel like I've earned every wrinkle and every gray hair that I don't have, whatever.
Yeah.
I think I've earned it. But
be proud of your growing years. Yeah,
exactly,
that's great. Okay, so we're not here to talk about eyes. We're apparently here to talk about WordPress. So let's quickly crack on with that. We actually have
eyeglasses.com.
Yeah, you've got a lot to cover. So we'll probably have to gloss over things fairly quickly today, or if we get stuck into one or two things, we'll have to miss a few bits and pieces out. But just a quick couple of things. This is our website, wpbuilds.com. If you want to be kept up to date with what we produce, just put your email into that little box and click subscribe, and we'll let you know what's going on. I'd like to draw attention to GoDaddy Pro, who have been a sponsor of ours for a long time. And, they keep the lights on over here. So great thanks to them for doing that. Okie dokie. Right. So this is dead cool. I love this. WordPress 6.5 is just around the corner. Actually, we've got loads and loads of different articles which cover different aspects of this, but we'll cover this one off first. If you don't know, there's an image format called AVIF. I actually can't remember what the acronym stands for, if indeed it is an acronym. But it offers significantly smaller file sizes than, let's say, JPEG, for example. Now, there's other rivals like WebP, which are, I think, probably in a bit of a race for performance equanimity with things like AVIF. But my understanding is that AVIF at the minute is kind of one of the leading ways to cut the amount of data that you're sending across the wire. It's obviously going to increase the amount of images that you can store on a hard disk and all of that kind of stuff. But until now, it hasn't been possible to use that in WordPress natively. But Adam Silverstein, who is on the performance team, he's a Googler. He's here to tell us on the mate.wordpress core blog that it's coming to WordPress in just a few weeks' time, up to 50% smaller file sizes. And you will be able to upload them in the way that you upload absolutely anything else, directly into your media library. There's a few bits and pieces around this. So, for example, your host needs to support this. You can check that by going to the WP admin area. And if you go to the tools section and then site health, you might be able to find that in the dashboard, actually, and click on the info tab and then media handling. So there's quite a little bit in there, but it's 30 seconds of clicking about. You'll be able to see if AVIF is supported. This article, which I'll link to in the show notes, will tell you how you can compress those with a little thing that you can put in your functions.php file, and how to convert things from JPEG, say, over to AVIF. And also, it's not natively supported across your entire multi-site network. There are things to be done there. Anyway, I thought that was cool. I confess I've never, ever created an AVIF image in my life, but I know that most editing software, Photoshop and what have you, have been able to do this for the longest period of time. So there, I'm throwing that out at you. What do you make of that? 6.5, nice new feature.
I'm old school. I get confused by images, like responsive images and art-directed images and images that load in and different file types. I wish we just had JPEGs, right?
Yeah. Why can't they just make JPEG better and call it JPEG again?
Yeah, JPEG more, JPEG less. Yeah. So, it's great. The biggest performance problems we see on websites are always the size of the images, where people are uploading big images and they're not being optimized properly. Anything that we can do to reduce image sizes is a win for me.
Totally right. Yeah. Mark, Michelle, anything on that?
I totally agree. I actually only knew of AVIF as a drop-down option when I am saving from Photoshop. I didn't really know what it was until I read this article. But I guess I'm a little old school too. But I definitely feel like anything we can do to optimize our image format so that they load faster and pages load faster. What's to complain about there? I'm not sure, other than I feel bad for these people who have like hundreds of thousands of images on their site and trying to compete somehow or another with performance and have to go back and redo their images or anything like that. Um, but I think it's totally beneficial to everyone. So why not?
Yeah, I'm imagining at some point somebody will come along with a tool which will be able to bulk
Right.
convert all of the JPEGs. But a 50% saving is not really to be sniffed at. I have a bit of a bottleneck actually in my workflow in that I use a third-party tool, and it's really not typical, but I use a third-party tool which takes the audio from my podcast RSS feed and it converts it into a video so that it can be automatically posted to YouTube. So there's this strange auto blogging thing, and it's a third-party SaaS service. And they don't allow AVIF. That's just a blocker. It fails at that point. So for me at the moment, I'm kind of stuck with JPEG because there's so much utility in that workflow that I'm going to keep it. But if that wasn't part of my workflow, I think I'd be using WebP and AVIF all the time. Because I mean, 50%, it's not to be sniffed at, is it? And really, in the era where we're more and more concerned about what we're doing to the environment, I don't really think if you can get away with it, you should be using something else. It's just, quicker load times, less storage, and so on. So
A-
anyway, yeah, Michelle,
As a
what were you going to
photographer,
say?
just as a photographer, as long as the image quality isn't
Right.
affected,
Yeah.
then that's my biggest thing.
Well,
Because
actually, funnily enough, inside this article, because that's what I thought, because I
yeah,
just bought a camera. Michelle and I have had various conversations about cameras. She actually was a great help for me finding a camera. My camera is, it's brand new, but it doesn't shoot in anything other than JPEG. I mean, maybe
oh,
it
it
does if I
does.
explored a bit further, to be honest. But
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
default
Yeah.
is that.
Bring it to Asia. I'll show you how to do
Oh,
it.
great. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's great news.
Yeah.
But the default is JPEG. But in this article, just where is it? It's sort of about here-ish. It says AVIF form. Is this the right bit? Yeah. AVIF images also support a wide range of, including HDR colors, and produce sharper images than JPEGs, especially in areas with high detail. So maybe there's something in the spec that, rather than the JPEG doing its compression, maybe the AVIF is able to say, this bit looks complicated. Let's really make the data in that little portion of the image lots and lots there, but this is a blue sky. It's mainly blue, forget about that. I don't know. I don't know the technical details, but it seems like I'm going to have to throw
I'm
my nice new
interested in.
camera away.
No, I don't think so, but I actually think I'm interested in learning more, right? So, like, obviously, everybody's not going to have brand new cameras just to support this. So there's got to be a way that it's working with whatever images we
Yeah.
have. So
Yeah.
Just shoot everything in RAW and then you're good from there.
Yes. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what he does.
Yeah. Use up massive.
It doesn't matter if every photo is 8,000 megabytes,
That's right.
big.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, you joke, but shooting in RAW is the right
yeah.
way to do it. And then you
Yeah.
can
Well,
convert to
no.
anything.
Yeah, I
So
agree. Yeah. Just get huge memory cards and offload regularly and you're good.
Yeah.
that is
Just a
the trick.
couple of things to say is that my capacity to see the comments coming in is not keeping up with what's actually coming in. The platform seems to be consuming a proportion of the comments. So, as an example, Pete Chaneri, hi there. You made a comment. I can see it on YouTube, but I can't see it in the platform, so I can't raise it
Interesting.
on the show. So I don't know why. Just a subset of comments have come through. I've got 3 in the platform, and there's about, I don't know, there's maybe 12 or something in reality. So apologies if some of them don't come through. I'm sorry about that, but I'll try to read them out. But Peter did say your cat was kind of photobombing you there, Michelle. I don't know if you saw. Your
Yes,
cat went and
I
stood on the
did.
table and stared right at us all for a little while. Just
She wanted her moment in the
yeah,
spotlight.
she wanted her moment. Andrew Palmer, again, I can't put it on the screen, but I can see that you've commented. He says, is it compatible with Safari? I don't know, but I do know that there are articles out there all over the place which will enable us to tell whether that's true. I'm gonna,
I thought it said that it's compatible with all the major browsers, so I
yeah,
would
maybe
imagine
you're right.
Safari, I think is lower down, but I can't remember exactly where.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
truth is, Andrew, off the top of my head, I don't know, but I have a feeling that it's been around for such a long time. I'm going to put my finger in the air and say yes. And then James Kemp again. Sorry, I can't put it on the screen, but it's he made a comment. It says, "I may have missed this, but aren't there WP tools and plugins which auto convert AV to web? Sorry, things like JPEGs to AVIF and WebP." Yeah, there are, aren't there? There's lots of plugins. I think most of them are commercial, like the Short Pixel, and there's a whole bunch of other plugins. And also, who was it? Pascal Birchler, who's also a Googler. He recently released a plugin on GitHub where if you drag, let's say, I don't know, a JPEG into the block editor, if you just chuck it into a block, it'll convert it on the fly and stick it into your media library or in the block itself. So it looks like, and he's part of the performance team as well with Adam, who wrote that article. So I think a lot of that work is coming down the pipe. James also says he shoots RAW and JPEG. Fuji JPEGs are super nice. And Courtney replies with Jetpack's site accelerator does convert to WebP. I wish that it could be converted to Core though. Yeah, Courtney, Pascal Birchler is hoping at some point, maybe 6.6 or something, to have his code ported into Core, but we'll have to wait and see how that goes. Anyway, exciting stuff. Lots and lots of nice things.
And Peter Ingersoll did report on the weather, just so you know.
Oh, did he? Oh, Peter, I'm so sorry. He always
Scroll
reports
up.
on the weather. Let me try and find it. Oh, yeah, there you go. Thanks, Peter. He says it's 36 degrees Fahrenheit, 2 degrees centigrade. That's about what it is here at the moment. Anyway, nice to see you all. Thank you. Keep the comments coming, but I may have to just sort of read them out. I apologize about that. And thankfully, in our live, private chat that the four of us together can have, which we can't actually show on the screen, Paul has given us caniuse.com. What is that, Paul? Is that just like an online service which tells you what you can do with images and whatnot?
Yeah, basically it tells you what browser support there is. So you can just type in an item. So if you do, can I use AVIF? It will show you all the browsers like Chrome, Edge, Safari, and what versions it's supported.
So, that's neat. Look at that. Yeah. So there we go. caniuse.com/query search equals and then AVIF. Where are we? So what was the question? It was about
Safari.
Safari. Yeah. So 16.4, it looks like it's fully supported.
Okay.
Red is not supported. The orange one is partially supported, and there'll be some known issues.
Okay. So the further down the column we go, the more up to date we get. So basically, if it's green at the bottom,
it's supported.
Then we're good. Oh, it looks like, nobody's using Opera anymore, especially after the recent news that they had about all the odd stuff that they were doing.
It's not supported in Internet Explorer. Who would have thought?
The internet is not supported on Internet Explorer. And then there's a peculiar browser I've never heard of called QQ browser, and then the KaiOS browser. I think that ships on Nokia phones. But basically, you're good to go, it looks like, with AVIF. That's a good find. Thank you, Paul. I appreciate it. Okay, so there you go. You can start using this fabulous new image format. Andrew Palmer said, I had a site yesterday which wouldn't display images on Safari and on an iPad. Turned off WebP. And boom, it worked perfectly. Well, I'm going to have to look now, aren't I? I'm going to have to type in WebP here and see what we get. Right. WebP. See what we get. Well, apparently, according to this, WebP has been possible since version 16, or came in 15.6 or something. But who knows, Andrew? Sorry about that. Okay, that's that. So that was Adam Silverstein. So, kind of related to that. This is Adam again. He's been he's been really busy this week. He's been
Busy
performing
guy.
well. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's ever so good at doing things quickly because he's on the performance team. He's got an article called "Introducing the WordPress Core Tracks Sustainability Focus," and I'll just read. He says, "For this post, the emphasis is on sustainable or green coding, which focuses on minimizing the environmental impact of software development and execution. It encompasses practice like optimizing algorithms and data structures to use fewer resources." So I guess you could include what we've just talked about as part of that, although that's not an algorithm. Reusing resources with caching. And really, I'm just giving you the fact that this is a little project which is ongoing now. There's a few related articles. It's on the make.wordpress.core blog, and I will include it into the show notes. It's just related to what we were just talking about. So there's a track ticket, and there's a community that you can get involved in called Sustainability. Like I said, all of the links in the show notes tomorrow. Okay, right. WordPress 6.5 is just around the corner. You can go to the official WordPress.org website and get a very, very short version of what's coming. Or if you fancy it, you can go to Ronnie Shani, who has written an article on WP Tavern. Ronnie, as we'll find out in a moment, is one of the 7 people who are competing, I guess is the right word. They're over on the WP Tavern. There's a few of them, and they're all competing, but we'll find out about that in a moment. But he's going to tell us in more detail what's going on. The results of the 2023 survey have revealed that, actually, I'll come to that later because there's something about that. But we've just been talking about performance and accessibility. 6.5 contains 110 performance-related updates, and you can see a little chart. If you're watching this, you can see a table which gives us some info. I don't really understand what this first one is. Can anybody give me an insight? How can you measure typing? Because that's what's written there. Because I don't understand that. What does that mean?
Is it the time between pressing the key and it rendering on the screen?
Is that what? Do you think that's what it is? Because definitely, if you've got a block intensive page, or you've got a block intensive page which has been open for like 3 days, and you come back to it and you type, definitely things are not quite as performant as they were. Okay, so let's assume that what Paul said is true. In version 6.4, it took 60 milliseconds to register the keystroke. Now it's down to 15 milliseconds. I mean, God knows, with my one finger granddad typing, I'm totally okay.
You might not notice a difference.
No, I'm really not noticing any difference. This surprises me. I mean, I just can't even imagine that the first number's true, but it says first block load in version 6.4. Am I reading that right? Like, what possible thing can that say apart from 20 seconds? How I mean, I've never, ever loaded a page where anything's taking 20 seconds to load. So I don't quite understand what that is. But now it's down to 8.4. So if it was 20 seconds. Patterns, this I can understand. So if you pick a pattern, you know, and you say, I want to select that pattern, it takes a moment for it to come in and register all the different blocks and what have you. That's they shaved off half a second, so it'd be 1.5 seconds. And the site editor first block load, again, I can understand this because it's a bit of a slow process, has gone down from 7 seconds to 4.6 seconds. It's all going in the right direction, I guess. There's not much more to say to that. But there are also 65 accessibility improvements, including fixes to contrast settings, cursor focus, submenus, positioning of elements, and more. The block bindings API is around the corner. Now, I confess, not being a developer, I'm not really that sure why this is cool. I'm trying to get excited about it, but I don't really know why to get excited about it. So I'm hoping that one of you 3 fine people can tell me why the block bindings API is a cool thing. Do any of you know?
It's not in my
Because they
wheelhouse.
say it's cool.
Yeah, because somebody said it.
Darn it! I should have grabbed that answer first.
We have an article about it, which does explain it a little bit. But let me explain by reading off this page. It's Mario Santos who described the goal of the new API. He said, this API aims to connect block attributes to values obtained from different sources. That might vary depending on the context. And so here we go. For example, a value like post author that changes depending on the current post. This will expand the capabilities of existing blocks. For example, having a heading block with the content of the post author without needing a new post author block. So it seems to me as if it's like an atomic way of like atomizing different features, which at the moment you might need a block for. So if you want to show what the block author's name is, you need the post author block. Whereas it feels like now you'll be able to put that inside of any other block. So you could put it, I don't know, inside a heading block or something like that. Some of you are nodding, so that makes me feel like I'm going in kind of the right direction there. The API already powers the synced patterns and much anticipated ability to connect custom fields to block attributes. The list of supported blocks is pretty short: paragraphs, headings, images, and buttons. But anyway, there you go. Anybody want to comment on the block bindings API? It doesn't seem like we know much about it just yet, so I'll leave it open for a moment. Then I'll move.
No, I think what you said is right, Nathan. I think you did very well to encapsulate that in such a way. Actually.
Yeah,
it's about extending the standard blocks and being able to add additional attributes to them. But again, it's quite hard to describe if you like at this point. I think you need some examples.
Yeah, okay.
I fully get it.
But it almost feels like sort of something like custom fields. You can sort of consume something from somewhere else and put it into something which is already existing, which traditionally you'd probably just have to type into. So for example, a heading, I don't know, you might be able to type "this post was written by," and then add some sort of piece of functionality where the post author just comes right out there and it's inside of a heading, not a block itself. Yeah. James Lau is joining us in the comments. Thank you, James. I'm not able to raise all these on the screen. I'm sorry about that. And he says Brian Cords has a video on the block bindings API with an ACF example. Okay, great. Thank you for that. And Elliot Richmond is here to save the day. He says the block bindings API is a replacement for custom field data in classic theme development for new full site editing block theme development. Only available for paragraph, image, headings, and buttons elements. Yeah, I feel maybe I got that adjacent to correct in that case. So anyway, it's coming in version 6.5. It feels like a propeller head, nerdy developer-y thing, but probably if you fit that bill, you'll enjoy that. However, this is right up everybody's street. Also, the font library. Yay! So we're all very well used to having the media library, upload an image, and it just sits in the media library, and it's completely separate from everything else. So you can dump it in a post, in a page, whatever. Up until now, you've had no capacity to do that with fonts. Fonts have been a bit of a challenge to work with in WordPress if you're not a developer. Not anymore. Now you've got the font library. You go into the font library, you upload or pick, for example, a Google font, and there it is. It's just in its own little library, and then you can invoke that wherever you like. So if you're a typography nerd, Peaches in the comments, I know she loves a bit of typography. This is great. So anybody want to comment on that? I think that's my favorite bit from a usability point of view. I love that.
I can't wait to bring back Comic Sans and Papyrus now. I mean, honestly, that's where I'm looking.
Oh, and I thought we were friends, Mark.
Comic Sans is, I mean, I know it's ugly and all, but it's very, very utilitarian, isn't it? It's one of those fonts that we love to hate. But my understanding is that a lot of primary schools in the UK, maybe it's the same in primary, is like your first go at school. It's from the real young, like 4 or 5 up till, I don't know, 11 or something like that. They use that on pretty much everything. When they type letters for the kids to read out, or they're encouraging children to learn to read, they use Comic Sans because it's so crystal clear and easy. Yeah. Sorry, Paul, say again.
Fun.
What?
Fun.
Oh,
it's a fun font.
Oh, okay. Honestly, I won't tell you what I thought you said. My hearing is a bit dodgy, and I definitely didn't hear the word fun. But yeah, but also it does things like it has the lowercase a looks like the A that you're taught to write, not that peculiar A with the curve at the top and then and the E has got a dead straight line with a little bit of a curve. Anyway, so I'm with you, Mark. Let's make the world Comic Sans.
Bring it back. It has the word comic in it. How bad can it be?
It should be the default.
I love to hate on it, but it is easy to read. And as Picha points out, it is an accessible font. So.
Oh, she's back. So Peach is very happy about it by the looks of it. She says, this is really great news. Yes, exactly. Thank you. I guess that was in reply to me saying she's a bit of a fan. Papyrus, that's a font, right? She says, what does FTW mean? I see that everywhere.
For the win.
Is that it? Is that what? Okay.
Yeah. You probably thought it meant something else, but
really did. And that's yeah. So Papyrus she loves. Comic Sans was conceived an accessible typeface, which indeed it is. Oh, that's great. Okay. So thank you, Peachy. Keep the comments coming. So that's coming. You'll have this completely separate UI to store all of your fonts. And it's pretty straightforward. You've got a library, you can pick things, and then hopefully they'll surface all over the place within your WordPress website. And the Interactivity API, which again is a bit of a nerdy thing, but this is coming down the pike as well. I think the Interactivity API is a little bit easier for me to understand. It's the ability to do something on a page and then for something else to happen elsewhere, let's say on that page, without you needing to have a page refresh. And the idea would be that the Interactivity API would bring that functionality so that it's the same for everybody. You don't have to build your own version of it. WooCommerce would be a good example. You click add to cart and your cart icon gets updated with the number 1 next to it to indicate something's happening. Or in the case that you can see on the screen, you click the little heart icon next to the movie to say, I like this, and it stores it somewhere. Okay, Nathan likes this particular film or what have you. Puss in Boots. It's an absolute favorite of mine. And I would like that every single day of the week. But that's it. So there's an awful lot coming. Favorites there are the ability for me to no longer type with one finger, the Interactivity API, and the font library. Do you want to say anything else about 6.5, you three, before I press on?
Nope, I'm good.
I'll take that as a no. Peacher says for the win. Yeah, of course it's for the win. I knew that.
You knew that.
I knew that. No, there's so many acronyms that my kids use that I'm like, I don't even know. Do you get that? Do you get that in life where you're sufficiently old now that kids use words, not just acronyms, but words in context, and you think, I don't even know what that means. I'm guessing that means it's really good, but I'm not entirely sure. And I just sort of nod.
I Google it every time. I'll Google it every time because there is no way. My kids already call me old. There's no way I'm going to validate that I'm old with them.
Yeah. I remember doing it to my parents and thinking, no, this is so self-evident what this word means. And of course, they didn't know. Okay, that's WordPress 6.5. We've got a little bit more information. We were talking about how the block bindings API was a little bit of a mystery. And that's because I'm not clever like Justin Tadlock is clever. Because here is a piece by Justin Tadlock explaining, it's an introductory piece. He's called it Part 1, and he's going to be creating an ever more complicated series of blog posts about how you can use I keep saying Interactivity API, the block bindings API. And in this case, he's put together an article. It's in the weeds. There's lots of code here and what have you. But I will link to that in the show notes, and it will give you a bit of a 101 on the block bindings API and how all of that works. And then there's another one on the tab, and we won't get into it because we've covered it. But on the 19th of February, James Giroux wrote all about the Interactivity API and how it's coming into WordPress. And this kind of chart just sums it up perfectly. Over here is how it is at the moment. Everything in gray is developer responsibility. In other words, the developer has to do the heavy lifting. You can see that where we are at the moment, the developer has to do everything. And in the new version with the Interactivity API, most of it will be handled either by WordPress or partly handled by WordPress. So the idea there is to have a standard that we can all hook into. And there's more there. I'll link all of these bits and pieces, but there's absolutely loads this week all about the different things that you can do. And this is a nice little Twitter thread. This comes from Nick Diego, where he explains how he's using the Interactivity API to build a custom mega menu. And again, I'll link to all of this in the show notes. Okie dokie. Anybody going to WordCamp Europe this year? Yeah.
I'll be there.
Look there. Tickets
Mark.
bought
Unsure.
already?
I am unsure at this point, but I would like to. I
Yeah.
absolutely would love to.
Well, it's in Torino. It's on the 13th to the 15th of June. So, the way my life goes, that's like tomorrow. And
But
the
it is
tickets are
after
on sale.
Asia.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Asia first.
That really is tomorrow. That was yesterday almost.
better
The
start packing.
tickets are on sale. If you want to buy a ticket, there's two options available. You got a general ticket, which is, 50 euros. Or you can go for a micro sponsor ticket if you feel like digging a little bit deeper and helping the event out. But it looks like at the moment in this round, there are 460 odd tickets left. My understanding is it's the biggest event in the WordPress community. It typically tops out somewhere in the region of about 3,000. So I don't think you're in any great rush, but it often does sell out. So head to europe.wordcamp.org if you want to be involved. You said you've already bought yours, Mark. Are you going to be going as as just a person like me, just hanging out and attending sessions, or do you intend to go with your team like you did last time?
Are you asking me?
No, I meant to say Paul.
I
Did
was
I?
gonna say,
Did I say
You
Mark?
said Mark. Yeah.
Yeah.
We
You've
were all a
got
little
to, I'm going to
confused.
blame this on me not feeling very well. Anything that goes wrong today is my fault, and it's entirely my own fault. And I probably need to drink more water. So that one's directed at Paul.
Yeah. No, we've bought a bunch of tickets already, and I've got flights booked already, which is quite exciting.
Good grief.
Yeah, well, you don't know. Although, like,
I'm
flight
booking
times
mine this
from
week.
flight times from London aren't great. But we'll be taking a team again.
What's your point? Like when you do these kind of events and you take your tickets. So obviously for me, I like to attend the
Small
sessions,
team.
and more recently I've been going with doing interviews and stuff. But taking a team, my understanding is again directed at Paul. It's not really an ROI thing. You're not really going to categorically write down on a spreadsheet, well, we invested $20,000 and we've got $58,000 back out of it. It's not that kind of thing, maybe.
No, it's really hard to work out what the return on investment. I think for us, there was a couple of things. Firstly, soaking up the atmosphere, because WordCamp EU is massive, right? And it was really busy last year and it was great. And I wanted everybody just to feel that atmosphere and feel what it was like and go around and talk to people. And it was great for team building and team bonding within the team as well. So we went to a few parties. We managed to bag a hotel with a bar on top, and we went there every single night and spent a lot on expenses, making sure that we had a really good time. And yeah, it was just the opportunity to give people insight, to give people that ability just to take part, really. So for us, it was about the feeling rather than anything specific. It was like, go and talk to people, go and listen, go and make friends, go and do what you want to do. Just make sure you enjoy yourself.
Nice.
I think everybody did, right?
Yeah.
So,
And if you don't mind my interjecting, back when we were doing server press and we were sponsoring a lot of camps, and went to Europe and all that, it was really about for me, I wouldn't have any of the contacts today that I have if it wasn't for those events. And it's an intangible investment. There's no way that I could be where I am within the WordPress community if it wasn't for going to those events and sponsoring and being at those events and interacting. And don't underestimate the value of the hallway track, as they say.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I did want to point out back when you brought up Asia is I wish someone would do an article, especially for these bigger camps like WordPress Europe or WordCamp Europe and WordCamp Asia and WordCamp US. Someone needs to do an article, not just on what to do in those areas, But for people that are new to these larger WordCamps, if this is their first WordCamp, how to handle those WordCamps, because they are not like your average 300-person WordCamp.
So, like, I could write that on post status this week. Is that what you're saying?
You could. That's what I'm saying, Michelle. If someone, I'm not mentioning any names, Michelle, but if someone could write an article about, look, this may be your first WordCamp. Understand that it is not like any other WordCamp you're going to experience in your life, and understand that you're going to get overwhelmed with the fact that there are 2,500 people wandering around basically looking for that person that they saw 6 months ago. And, and you're not going to see everybody you want to see, but here's how to handle it. And here's what to expect. And here, if you're investing in sponsoring, here's kind of what to expect as a sponsor. Here's what to expect as an attendee. Kind of like I did a presentation at smaller WordCamps called "What to Do at WordCamp If You're a Total Noob." Was kind of, I think that was the title of it, and it was basically like a top 10 breakdown of how to handle a WordCamp if you're like a complete stranger and you don't know anybody. And I think that I was shocked last year when I went to Athens at how many people had never been to a WordCamp before, and that was their first WordCamp. And I'm like, that's like taking on Ganon as the first thing in Zelda, right? Like your first thing is you get the wooden sword, and here you are. There's, you're a boss level, right? And I know
I have no idea what that means.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well,
gaming. It's the gaming world.
Let's just say Ganon is the big boss in Zelda. Okay.
Got it. Yeah.
Okay. And everybody knows who Zelda is, so it's kind of like that. It's like you're at boss level when you go to these camps, and so if there's some sort of like breakdown of how to handle that, I think that would be a fantastic article, which I know that I will never write. But so
I think Michelle's on it.
Please. I think Michelle's on it. Yeah.
I'll see if I can fit it in this week.
Well, there's something adjacent to that actually. A couple of things about WordCamp Asia. So anyway, WordCamp Europe tickets are now on sale, €50. Bit of a bargain, really. There's no way that even pays for your food. Probably. No. So it's very much underwritten, but a kind of similar. This is a guide, a locals guide to Taipei. So if you are going to WordCamp Europe, this is an XWP article, and it just goes through a few bits and pieces like the stuff to do when you're not being a WordCamper. So things that you can do in Taipei, and then it just breaks out a few places to go. Some probably if you're a person living in Taiwan, these are all the places you take your friends and family if they're visiting. Like kind of food to eat, that kind of thing. Places to go, hot springs, for example, all sounds very nice. Gondola ride that you can do to take in the city and so on. Anyway, so I just thought that was quite nice. So thank you to XW.
And they did include accessibility information on some of those.
Did they?
Like the gondola says there's accessibility information.
Yeah.
Not all of them have it, but yeah, nope. I love that.
Okay, so that's really nice. But also, like this, I don't know what to make of this, right? I genuinely don't know what to make of this. What Tim Ferriss is going to be speaking at WordCamp Asia. Now, I don't know if you know of Tim Ferriss. I don't really know a lot about him, but I know that on the internet, isn't he like super duper famous, like big successful author, has been involved in absolutely loads of famous companies, investing in all sorts. So I think there were a few listed here. So for example, he's been an investor and an advisor to Uber, Facebook, Shopify, Duolingo, Alibaba, and then it says 50 others. He's got one of the most listened to podcasts, which has been downloaded now. It says 900 million times. I mean, it's a few more than WP Builds, just a few more, a little bit more. But so he's an invited speaker, and is that a new thing? Is it new to be inviting speakers of like some notoriety like Tim, or is that a normal thing?
It is normal. It is not always successful, right? So you can invite people, they don't necessarily come, that kind of thing. But as somebody who's participated on the team for WordCamp US over the years, I will tell you that there's always a list of people that we're to suggest lists of people that perhaps we would like to have invited. And so sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I think the NASA speakers last year at WordCamp US, for example, were invited speakers from NASA. So
Right. Okay. So for context, it's not new. So that's something. But also adding more context into it, Peacher said, Andrew Palmer, I'll come to Peacher in a minute. Andrew said, let's see if these comments are actually coming through now. Maybe they are. No, sorry, Andrew.
some, but not all.
Yeah, some, but not all. Andrew says Tim interviewed on his own podcast. He interviewed Matt Mullen. And maybe during that conversation, it sounds like Matt invited Tim to come along. And so maybe that's how all of that worked out. And then Peacher says she's curious about what it'll do for the good of the community and about the costs. I don't know. I would imagine that Tim could afford his own costs, but also, whether that's coming out of the community pot, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't have an answer to that.
No, for me, it's like great because, anybody that's in the podcasting space who is successful, I'd love to listen to all that, but I do wonder what the majority of people think, whether or not it makes sense. So anyway, there you go.
I think he's a very busy person, given that he only works 4 hours a week.
Yeah,
he's got an awful lot
4-hour work week.
In that 4 hours, right?
It's only got 9 pages.
I haven't looked at the schedule yet. I just hope he's not speaking opposite me because I know that I will be speaking to an empty room if that's the case.
Okay, do you know what? That's a really interesting thought. Let's find it. Let's find Tim. Let's search. Let's do Ferris. Let's search for Ferris. Oh, he is. It's funny. It is.
Gosh darn it.
Oh, no.
Well,
Michelle.
no, you're looking at it wrong, Michelle.
Ferris.
No, Michelle, you're looking at it completely wrong. It's taken all the pressure off of you now.
Yeah.
There's like nobody.
Oh, man.
So
all right.
Tim is in a direct competition with Wes and Michelle and Perth. All of those, the 3 other
And
speakers
Gene
happening at the same time.
The light.
Yes, and we carry on.
Silverstein.
Gene, Adam Silverstein, Kimberly, they're all in competition with Tim Ferriss. My personal opinion is, I'm so sorry to break that news to you. That couldn't have been easy to swallow.
It's fine.
From my point of view, having somebody like him, it's kind of interesting. It may be that you've never heard of him, but it just so happens that because I am into podcasting, he genuinely has this gigantic following. And so I was genuinely curious. So I think this is great. But I did wonder, a bit like Michelle, how it came to pass and what the sort of ongoing benefit to the community is. But then if he has a podcast, maybe that podcast is something that he does inside of WordPress. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Do you not think it should be like some keynote or scheduling to make it before or after all the other stuff? Just if you're gonna do that, nice. It does feel a bit unfair.
Now I know that Nathan's not even going to be in my session.
Yeah.
No pressure, Nathan.
No pressure. Well, no, it's okay. I can send the flat 2-dimensional head to the Tim Ferriss show. And
the good news is they're all recorded, and anybody that misses mine to go watch Tim Ferriss can get it later. And I'll be watching Tim's on replay. So there you go.
Yeah. I don't know, because you know how, like, you're sitting around the dinner table and somebody talks about somebody famous as if you know who they are. And everybody around the table is like going, oh, yeah. And you're thinking, I have no idea who they're talking about. I think Tim Ferriss maybe fits under that umbrella. I would be highly surprised if even a majority of the audience at that event will have any interest in him. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we'll see.
I think he will have a full room. I'm predicting that now.
Yeah.
Nathan,
but honestly, it's really fine.
We need to teach you to sit at the table with your phone and to use Google. So when people are talking about these people, you can easily look them up. And
you've not seen my phone. My phone is
he has a dumb phone.
You did mention that before.
Yeah, I've got a dumb phone, and it's serving me very well for exactly reasons like that.
That reason.
I now just sit and say, "Tell me about them," instead of googling it. But that's really interesting. Anyway, so Tim Ferriss, super famous internet guy, really an amazing talent, I'm sure it'll be an interesting talk, is now head-to-head with Michelle Frechette. So,
Go,
yes,
Michelle.
Go, Michelle.
Go on.
I'm just going to say, if you're listening to this episode right now, choose wisely.
Yeah.
Because you will continue to know me after WordCamp Asia. But will you still be friends with Tim Ferriss?
You will continue to see Michelle is the thing.
No, I mean, honestly, there's enough audience to go around, Tim. It's all right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So Andrew Palmer makes an interesting point, and maybe this is part of the whole next gen WordCamp thing. So I don't know, maybe like 18 months ago, something like that, this whole idea of next gen WordPress event, so that it's not just a formula all the time. Maybe this is part of it, inviting these, big name speakers and what have you. And Andrew Palmer says, this is great. It's about time a commercial speaker was seen at WordCamps. And in terms of ticket sales, you can imagine if somebody like that, or, somebody equally famous came along, maybe it would encourage people to buy tickets. So Peacher says she wishes she was going to WordCamp Asia. Michelle, she'd come to your talk with bells on, she says. Peter Ingersoll says, for a number of reasons, he's not for everyone, for sure. Michelle is an excellent alternative.
I mean, hey, if you want to be the alternative to somebody, like Tim Ferriss is okay to be the alternative.
Yeah.
Hey,
Anyway, so there we go.
In 2016, I invited, I was the organizer for WordCamp Milwaukee. I think it was 2016. And I invited Henry Winkler because we were doing a whole 50s kind of theme. I actually invited Henry Winkler to come and speak, and he couldn't come, but his agent contacted Henry Winkler, and Henry sent us a bunch of books that he had written that he signed to give away. So we used them as giveaways. So
I've heard he's lovely.
Yeah, it was very, very cool of them to do that. So
that's
a shout out to Henry.
I'm sitting around my dinner table going, Henry Winkler.
Come on, mate.
Oh, come on.
Want to say the Fonz?
Yes.
Is that it? Did I actually pull that out?
That's so much more, but yes. That's
okay.
That's
I got that
start,
right.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
And there's in Milwaukee, because Happy Days took place in Milwaukee. Yeah. There's a thing called the Bronze Fonz, which is a statue of the Fonz right there by the river that everybody takes pictures with. And I just thought it would be really cool to get him. And his agent at first said, "Oh, he's out of the country. Sorry, we would love to." And then the agent contacted me back about 2 hours later and said, "I talked to Henry and he feels really bad that he can't make it. So he's sending you these books." And so I thought that was just really, really phenomenal.
I would have thought that over the years, Matt in particular, Matt Mullen, he must have met an awful lot of people who have, air quotes, clout. And whether Matt was behind this engagement with Tim, I don't actually know. It sounds from what Andrew was saying that could well be the case. But that could be a curious thing, Matt getting invited guests in just because of the unique position that he's got at the top table with lots of these businesses. And I for one I'd be really open to that. Some just non-WordPressy thing, but just from some leading light in the internet industry, I would be quite open to that. But if it was somebody who was like in the same way that Matt's address is block booked, isn't it? There's only one track while Matt's talking because that any other track will be pauperized because of it. I do wonder if this continues and what we see with Tim, maybe those big name invites could occupy a track all of their own so that they didn't cannibalize the audience from elsewhere. Not that they will, Michelle. Not saying that.
But, it's fine. It's all good. I know how to share.
I think it's hysterical, though, that you said, let's just see. And you are literally at the same
it's
time.
Okay. I mean,
it's okay.
I can share.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. So there we go. There is WordCamp Europe and WordCamp Asia, a few bits and pieces there. I just wanted to draw attention to this. If like me, you were a massive consumer of the WP Tavern under
You're not sharing.
Come in.
There we go.
There we go. Thank you. If you were a massive consumer of the WP Tavern like I was back in the day when Jeff did it, and also when Sarah Gooding, and then Justin, and then it went back to just being Sarah, I would read every word, absolutely every word. And so it going away, for me was tough, actually. I really
Yeah.
found that I was ending up on articles that didn't, I don't know, I was just trying to find news in places that didn't quite have that same caliber. Well, it's back. The WP Tavern is in this process, which James Giroux, he's described it himself. It's a bit like metadata, this. James is describing what is the Hunger Games of WP Tavern. 7 authors have been invited to participate. I think there were quite a lot of people who applied. 7 people have been asked over a month-long period to write any article that they like. They've got all the permissions to, write articles, delete articles of their own making, I guess, and approve comments and all of that kind of stuff. And they're in a bit of a battle. So 7 is going to be whittled down to 2. My understanding is that in this month-long window, they've each got a 14-day bit. So they can start when they like, but 14 days after they start, they can end. And they've got to go out there and essentially, what do they do in the Hunger Games? They sort of kill off the opposition, don't they? So I don't know. What do you think of this? Is this kind of like a weird adversarial thing, or is this okay? You tell me.
I love it. I think it's a great opportunity to see the writing, not only the writing styles, but what piques the interest of the different authors so that we're not voting, I don't think, but so that we kind of get an idea, and whoever's making the decision, which I assume is Matt and maybe others, um, can see how they engage with the community information. So what's going on in the community? How is it being presented? Is it being presented hard hitting? Is it being presented softly? Like, how are we engaging? How is it engaging? How is that writer engaging with the material of the information that's coming about within the WordPress community and the ecosystem?
It's kind of interesting. I was
Mhm.
just used to the article beginning, but obviously, these different authors have got different ways of introducing it. So we can see on
Mhm.
the screen at the moment, James has gone with a TLDR, like a little call out box at the beginning where he explains in 1 or 2 sentences what that article is about, and then there's a like a line break. Sarah, as far as I'm aware, and Justin didn't use those kind of things. And then he's crossed out things in the article, and each of them are using different um like font sizes for the headings and things like that. So for the moment it's all a little bit discombobulating. You wouldn't
Mhm.
expect to go to the Times or the Guardian or what have you and see a bunch of different fonts and a bunch of different heading sizes and all that. But for now, over on the Tavern, that's what we've got. My understanding is that engagement is one of the metrics that are going to be potentially used. So if you do favor one of the articles or one of the authors, I think you can give them a bit of a leg up by going and posting a comment, interacting with them. I don't suppose for a moment that's the only metric. It's probably to do with the quality of the writing more than anything else. But interaction, I think, is a bit of a thing. So you do favor somebody. And if we just go to the Tavern, you can see at the moment we've got articles by Ronnie Sharney. Apologies, Ronnie, if I got your name wrong. By James Giroux, Adam Silver, Ronnie again, James again, Adam again. That seems to be it for now. So a
Mhm.
few of them have obviously decided that they're going to take their run at it now. But if that's 4, then we've got 3 more to come at some point in the next
Well,
week
and
or 2.
I was just I know that um, hopefully I won't say too much, but I know that Topher DeRoja is also one of them, and he was talking to me
Hmm.
about what he's going to be doing, which is a different approach as well. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see what happens. And in a way, I kind of hope they all win, but I know that that's not possible.
Well, the rules from the outset have said they're going to whittle it down to 2, but
Right.
maybe
Right.
maybe if 3 of them. Oh, I don't know. It's pure speculation, but
Yeah.
in theory, it'll be 2 of them. Of course, if 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 you find yourself over on the Tavern and you want to listen to
Oh, look,
something.
there's me.
Oh, no, yeah. There's you, and there's me, and there's me, and there's me, and there's
Well, you're all over it.
all over. But if you do fancy listening to the podcast, I've had a couple of weeks of being unwell, so I haven't posted for a couple of weeks. But hopefully, I'll be back on the wagon this week or
You know,
next week.
Nathan,
Mm.
on WP Coffee Talk, I encourage people to have a cup of coffee with me. How come you're not encouraging mugs of beer when people are at the tavern with you?
It's not going to go well, is it? It's a podcast where you drink alcohol.
I mean, on occasion, I've had bourbon and I've had a glass of wine with my guest.
No.
Story for another day.
Yeah, I could go for a flagon of I don't know, low alcohol something or other. Anyway, so
your beer.
Yeah, that's the article that I wanted to highlight. So can I just encourage you, if you care about WordPress journalism and the WP Tavern as a source going forwards, then head over there from now essentially, and go and read the articles and give feedback in the comments and all of that kind of stuff. And hopefully your voice will be heard. Paul, anything to add to that before we crack on?
I just wish it wasn't going to get whittled down to 2. I wish there were more voices. I wish there was more articles, more news, because it feels like there's some quality there, and having diverse opinions and subjects that you might not think about from different people, I think that's really helpful. I can understand why there's a budget and there's a limit and things like that, but maybe I'd do it where you paid full time for the sub editors, and people could submit articles, and then the subs took the direction.
Actually, that's a really interesting point, because Matt, when he posted that he was going to whittle it, onboard 7, take it down to 2, he did say that there would be an open and easy, I can't remember the words, open and easy to understand process if you wanted to submit your own articles. But I don't know if that involves, like finance or anything like that, or whether that's just submitting something because you're a good citizen.
I was mostly excited by the fact there's loads of new stuff to read.
Yeah.
It's,
Yep.
It's a site in my list of things in my news tab in my browser. So,
yeah. It's been a regular source of what I do over here. You can guarantee more or less if it was on the tavern, I would probably include it. And because there's just so much going on the tavern at the moment, I guess maybe there's a bit of me which is waiting for it to sort of cool down a little bit, back to the sort of 3 or 4 articles a week. At the minute, I feel it's more like 8 or 9, because they're all trying to get noticed. But anyway, good luck to all 7 of you, the 4 that we know about and the 3 others coming up. So there you go. Speaking of that, here's another one from the tavern. This is Adam Silver, one of his articles. And because everything went quiet over on the tavern, I didn't notice, to be honest, that there'd been a bunch of WordPress acquisitions. So Adam Silver took it upon himself to just summarize the acquisitions that he'd known about. Feels like 3 or 4 years ago, there was honestly a period of about 6 to 8 months where we talked about nothing else than acquisitions. There was just this train of one after another, and some big names kind of went. Yoast went, and ACF went, and all these other things went. Anyway, so to summarize, over the last few months, Opt-in Monster on the 15th of February has acquired something called the Beacon Lead Magnet Creator. I honestly don't know what that is, whether it's a plugin or a SaaS app, but anyway, that has been acquired by Opt-in Monster. On the 28th of January, Andrew Wilder at NerdPress acquired the ever so pithily titled Optimize Database After Deleting Revisions plugin. I think I'm right to say plugin twice there. So that's now under their purview. And a little bit before that, 6th of December, same person, Andrew Wilder, acquired a social media sharing plugin called Grow Social from Mediavine. And then October 2023, so tail end of last year-ish, Jamie Madden sold his plugin, which was called Plugin License Server, and it was acquired by acquire.com. So those 4 things went under my radar. It's calmed down a little bit, all this acquisition stuff, I feel, which I think is no bad thing. Anybody want to say anything about that?
I think it's quieted down because everyone's having to deal with the chaos of all the acquisitions and getting it all organized under one umbrella. But that's just speculation. I'm actually not knee deep in any of that, but that would be my guess.
Yeah. Yep. Anyway, thank you, Adam, for sort of paraphrasing that. Okay, so now we're moving on to accessibility. This is just a hat tip to Amber Hines. It was published on 30th of January, but because I took last week off, it never got mentioned. So there was a webinar that was created. It's called Building a Low-Code Accessible WooCommerce Website with Amber Hines. The URL is too long for me to say, but you could either Google that or wait until the show notes come out tomorrow, and you can find out what that was all about. But also, I wanted to raise this one. This is a Twitter thread that Amber created, and I don't want this to become a more of a storm in a teacup than it might do. But Amber's post goes like this, and I can't possibly go through them all because she really did create a fairly lengthy article out of a bunch of tweets. She said 5 months ago, Alex Stein, she uses his Twitter handle, opened a track ticket suggesting that WordPress.org and WordCamp sites use Amber's Equalize Digital Accessibility Checker plugin. And today we received, and I'm quoting, today we received what sounds like a decision from, and then a bunch of Twitter handles, the people who made the decision. And it sounds like that has been declined. That's not going to be used. Amber then goes in a little bit further and says, well, hang on a minute. There's a whole bunch of things wrong with the WordPress properties. So that could be WordCamp or WordPress.org properties, and spent a little bit of time poking around on all the different websites. And according to Amber, found problems more or less on everything that was looked at. And so then goes into, well, why can't we use this? Matt Mullen jumped into the comments and said, would it be possible to use some sort of scanning software? So maybe a third-party SaaS tool or something like that. Amber's response was, yes, but you can't use that on things which aren't published, and it might be quite nice to use it on an unpublished article and what have you. Anyway, so there's this ongoing discussion. I don't have any intuitions as to where this will end up or what the state of play is, but I just wanted to raise that. I've not used Equalize Digital's accessibility checker plugin, so I don't really know. But I just wanted to raise it in case you wanted to drop into that Twitter feed and give your 2 cents, because we know Twitter is a good place for resolving all problems that exist.
The calmest place on earth, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's their mission, isn't it? Is to resolve things.
First things, you need to click that follow button on Amber on the right-hand side of your screen, because she drops some amazing knowledge.
Yeah,
yes, you do.
And
so, yeah, for sure. But here's the thing about the accessibility checker plugin that Equalize Digital has. It's phenomenal. So I use it. It's very easy to understand what it's giving and how you should be addressing your website to make those changes for accessibility. But aside from that, everything Amber raises within WordPress about accessibility is always to make the experience of any user, whether they are a builder on the dashboard side of things or a visitor on the public side of your website, better. And we all can appreciate the outcomes of accessibility, even if you don't have accessibility needs. So whenever she speaks, I listen. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just having a slug on my pint of gin.
We know it's water.
Yeah. I'm making way more sense now than at the beginning. So interestingly, if I just put it on the screen, Birgit Altsum, who has been on the Tavern podcast with me, she says after the decision was made not to use that plugin, she said, "Feel sorry to hear that the conversation on Slack left this impression on you. From my understanding of the structure of the .org network, there needs to be a tailored version of a checker plugin. Can we work towards a solution together?" And she's just popped up in the comments to say, the problem with scanning is that it doesn't take into account pre-flight testing before publishing,
Right.
which I guess is an interesting point. And especially difficult for contributors who are publishing on WordPress ecosystem sites. So essentially, it sounds like there's more pieces to this jigsaw than meet the eye. But I know that accessibility is quite rightly a very it's a hot topic, for want of a better word, at the moment. It's talked about a lot, and this obviously is something that could become an issue over the next days and weeks. So go into Twitter and see if you can track down a perfect answer for it. There is in Amber's post a link to a track ticket, so maybe that's
Yeah.
another place where you can go and explore. Paul, anything to say on that before we move on?
It's really hard, isn't it? And it's a fine line. You've got somebody that's developed something amazing that could be used, but then it just potentially opens up, well, let's say, a conflict of interest. But that plugin doing slightly different things, I don't know. I think it's probably quite hard for Matt's walking a bit of a fine line there. I think in trying to go, well, I can understand where he's coming from. I think what they're trying to do is offer up a solution to get the problem fixed, which is the most important thing. But sometimes maybe you could just take a step back and work out a different solution.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's an interesting angle, isn't it? So the fact that it's a proprietary plugin and it's got a commercial arm to it, I'm guessing, Amber, forgive me if I've said that incorrectly. Maybe it's entirely philanthropic, but maybe that's the problem. Yeah, is that the fear that using a commercial solution on all of these sites would favor one thing over another. Anyway, you can get your feet into that argument over on Twitter. I'll link to it in the show notes tomorrow, or at least I'll try to. I do have problems linking to Twitter off my website for some reason. I don't quite know why. But anyway, it's there. You can go and search for Amber. So Amber Hines' Twitter handle is at Hey Amber Hines, HEY, and then Amber Hines, HINDS. So you can probably track it down in that way. I'm just going to highlight this one very quickly because we haven't got time to dwell on it. But this is a really interesting piece. It's all about the growing dissatisfaction. I don't really know if that's the right word. Maybe it's a storm in a teacup. But Search Engine Journal have picked up on the annual WordPress survey, and I've highlighted a few different bits and pieces which indicate that not all is on an accelerated path for the WordPress community. It does seem that there are some underlying problems which may be storms in the future, but you can go and read that yourself. There's sadly not enough time because I want to allow two of our guests today to do a bit of showing off. Totally coincidental. Paul and Mark are here, and I promise you, well, I assume that it's true. There was no concoction there. They're just here on the day when something significant is happening in their lives, and in both cases, it's a plugin release or update. So let's start with MainWP, Mark. We don't normally do an advertising spot, and hopefully this isn't that. But MainWP is about to drop the 5.0 release. I guess that's a big thing. And we've got a couple of new things that are coming. Let's start out here. Just briefly, Mark, what is this new feature in MainWP's called API backups?
Well, so this is something that's going to actually be built into the core of MainWP, and MainWP is it doesn't cost anything to get going, so it's very cool. I will try to avoid the sales pitch here, as excited as I am about 5.0 coming out. So I apologize if I do sound a little bit markety, salesy. I really don't want to, but it's been amazing watching the team put this thing together, and this is huge. So the backups allow for you to use your hosting services backup capabilities through an API key. So you can manage all of your backups through MainWP. And right now, as you can see here on the page, you can see what is what we're compatible with. We just added cPanel and Plesk, and we'll be adding more in the future, and we're working on that. But through the MainWP dashboard, you can do all of your backup management right there, which makes just one more thing that you don't have to do on an individual basis. You can just do it from there. You can do your restores. You can do whatever you want. And we do have a walkthrough video that's going to be released shortly on how to do all that. And it's just super cool.
So the way that backups are handled with MainWP at the moment is through third-party plugins like, I don't know, nothing's coming to mind. I don't know why I've gone blank. But the famous WordPress plugins, you'd have to manage it in that way. But now you can, let's say, for example, you're on Cloudways, which is one of the choices. You can hook into your API key coming out of your CloudWays dashboard, plug it into your MainWP website, and then you can manage the backups that are created over there. So you're not doing it
Correct.
from your it's not a plugin that's handling it, it's their infrastructure, but you can
Correct.
see how many
You
you've
can
got and
see
delete and
everything and
restore.
manage
Nice.
everything. Correct. Yeah. And so one of the screens is an overview of all your child sites, and you can see, you know, where they're being hosted, what the backups are, what type of backups are being done, and you can manage it all from just that one site screen, which is um, it's just super useful
Yeah.
and time saving. I mean, the whole idea, of course, with everything that we do is to try to make it a time saver for you, so that you're working as efficiently for your customer, for your clients as possible, and maximizing and leveraging your time, because we all know that that's the one resource that you don't get more of. So,
I never
um,
segue. I'm going to segue from
okay,
time saving to time
time.
tracking. Do you see what I
Oh
did
my
there?
goodness, you couldn't
Oh,
have done
oh,
that
I'm a
better.
pro.
Thank
Yeah,
you. Thank
yeah.
you.
So this
Wow.
is the other feature. So two
Yeah.
big high level features, and
Mhm.
we all know what this is, time tracking. But why? Why has this gone into into a MainWP dashboard? Is this so that you can track time against client projects and bind it to a particular site? And so, I don't know,
Correct.
I've done
Correct.
5 hours work on that site this week. That
Correct.
client needs
Yeah.
billing at this rate. Is that the kind of
Correct.
deal?
It's yeah, and you can create buckets of time, so you can set up, say that you've got 20 hours budgeted for like this particular project or something. You can set up the buckets so that you can keep track of all that. You start and stop a timer just like you would with a third party thing, and this is all built right into. Well, now this is actually a pro extension here, but it's something that you can do all within your main WP dashboard. And once again, keeping track of all your child sites and the projects, and knowing exactly how much time you're spending on each thing, and what rate you're billing at, and you can set projects up with various billing rates, and get that all going. It's really pretty cool. It's a pretty cool function.
I like it. What a
Yeah,
neat
yeah,
little thing to add
yeah,
in. Yeah,
yeah.
thank you. And it's given me today's title. You can create buckets of time.
There
Um,
you go.
I've
Yeah,
I've always wanted to
yeah.
create buckets of
Buckets
time.
of time. Yeah,
Sounds like some
yeah,
sort of physics thing,
yeah,
doesn't it?
yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't know
Or
you could carry it with you.
you just like carry it
yeah,
around and
yeah,
sort of tip
yeah.
it out wherever you want.
Just
Uh,
make sure there's not a hole in your bucket.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I
Cool.
mean, it would be more convenient if it was backpacks of time, but
Yeah, we create
buckets is
backpacks
Well,
of
fine.
time.
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay. Well, that honestly, two lovely new features. I'm glad
yeah.
that you were on literally the day. This will be rolling out into your main WP
And I
website.
am gonna throw out a little sales pitch here, which is that version 5.0 is slated to come out tomorrow. We are all rushing around the clock, doing all the last minute testing and all the stuff that goes up, just a countdown, just like a launch of a rocket,
Yeah,
just making sure everything goes. But tomorrow is actually the launch date for version 5. So
you heard it here first. Two
we
new
are
features.
so excited
Yeah,
about this. I can't even
nice,
begin to tell you.
nice,
I'm
nice. Look,
trying to I'm trying to contain my excitement
yeah,
because,
yeah,
like I
yeah.
said,
That's right.
I don't
Yeah,
want to.
yeah.
Yeah,
Put your excitement in the bucket of time. That's what.
yeah. I'll put it in my bucket of excitement.
Put it in your bucket of time. That'll contain it nicely. And then pop
Yeah.
the lid on. Okay, right. That's brilliant. Thank you so much for giving us that. If you haven't, go to mainwp.com or Google it. And let's move on to this one. So again, pure coincidence, I promise you. I don't know if it happened this week or last week, or maybe it's coming this week or something. I don't know. But Personalize WP with a Z,
Yeah.
personalizewp.com is a project from Paul's team, Filter. Go on then, Paul. Give us the elevator pitch. What is Personalize WP?
It just allows you to personalize the content on your website. That's all. It allows you to show and hide content using the block editor. You can work out what people are looking for and what they've done on your site, and then you can show them content based on that. And we kind of soft launched it in January, and then last week, we delivered our latest update, which brought lead scoring in as one of our key features. So it is available as a free plugin on the org repository, where you'll get all your personalization rules. We've got a bunch of preset rules for you, like by device, by country, by time of day, by date, things like that. And then obviously, as you know, we're all in this business, there's a pro version or a standard version, which adds some features such as creating visitor profiles of the people that are visiting your site and sort of seeing their activity of what they've been doing. And then being able to segment them into different audiences and give them a lead score, depending on the kind of things they might do, whether that's like purchasing a product or completing a form or, you know, just visiting a certain page. And then using all of those things, personalization rules, segments, lead scores, you can choose to show or hide content for them or on pages of your website.
So is it an entirely block-based enterprise, or does it work with, I don't know, like elements within Elementor or what have you?
It's entirely block editor based right now,
Okay.
but we'll be integrating with Elementor certainly shortly. It's on the roadmap.
Now, I do use MainWP. I'll just say that off the bat, but I can't really show you my MainWP dashboard because it's full of websites that I manage, and that's kind of slightly private data. So apologies for that, Mark. Otherwise, you know, maybe I could have shown some of the, although it's not out yet. But I was very kindly given a a license for Optimized WP, and I stuck it on a local website. And I'll just quickly give you the skinny. If you go to the dashboard here, you can see the different bits and pieces. You know, you've got the option to configure personalization, visitor profiles, segments, lead scoring, and, you know, general settings. I've got the pro version, so I'm not entirely sure what the difference is. But really, where the magic seems to happen is if this is a vanilla site. So I've got my sample page here. If you go in and edit a page, just get rid of that bit there, and then you click on something that's already in there, or obviously something of your own creation, you can see that the personalize options now appear in the right-hand side. And I don't know if it's going to show me the drop down. No, sadly, it's not. But it's an if-then kind of system, you know, if. And so, for example, it says the default options are spends a minute on the page, is on a desktop. I'm just going to give you a summary of them. Is a new visitor, is a returning visitor, is coming to the site at this particular time of day, is based in this country, is logged in. Then you go and say, okay, now hide it and show it. So, you know, I might have a block here, which is some sort of advert for Christmas or something, you know, and it's going to show the US version in dollars just before Christmas and the UK version if I'm coming from the UK. So it's dead simple to use. I'm imagining that I haven't covered even a billionth of the functionality there, but there we go.
Thank you very much. Yeah, no, the idea, we believe in simplicity, so we try and make everything as simple as possible. And there's a bunch of people that we know that are using it in ways that we didn't expect. So, before Christmas, when we had the free version in the org repository, somebody was asking about how to do an advent calendar using it, which was just mind blowing. I was like, oh, okay, you're going to do that with it. Okay, that's really cool.
Yeah,
you know, based on the date, you're going to show and hide
not time for the 7th yet, so don't show it. And then you can add to your scores. So each person that comes along can be given a score, and obviously for things like e-commerce, that's really helpful. You know, so I think this person is red hot. Then
and you know, there's a lot of things that you want to do when you're trying to drive conversion or you're trying to drive revenue, particularly in stores, or agencies will be doing this with their clients. So, you know, if somebody goes to a product page, you're probably going to give them a lead score of 1. But actually, if they buy a product, you're going to add a score of 10 to it. And then you go, well, actually, I've got people that have got high lead scores. I'm going to show them a discount offer because I know that they really like our brand and things like that. So there's plenty of use cases. We're going to try and document it. It's really early days for us. We're on our journey, but we'll be adding to our knowledge base as quickly as we can.
Andrew Palmer says it looks perfect for restaurants with breakfast, lunch, or dinner options. Oh, absolutely, yeah, perfect. Right. Yeah. It's like it's midday. Show them the dinner options, not the breakfast.
I'll steal that and put it on our knowledge base.
Yeah. Andrew has a restaurant, so he knows.
Okay.
And then Lawrence also says lots of potential for WooCommerce.
Yeah.
You can, of course, make your own rules. I was just selecting from some predefined rules, but options you go and explore. Go and look at the website.
Does it have the option to set up the logic for if the browser can handle AVIF or not?
No, but maybe it's going to go on the backlog after today, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if it's the browser which you get with your Nokia phone, do this. If it's every other browser, no, there was something called the GG browser or something, wasn't there as well? If it's every other browser. Anyway, there you go. OptimizeWP.com. Go check it out.
Personalize WP.
Oh,
Don't say
what did I
optimize
say?
WP.
What did I say?
It's your hearing. You've got already dodgy. You said optimize WP.
Oh, I do apologize.
I'm going to have to go and buy optimize WP.
Yeah, personalize with a Z or a Z.
Yeah.
WP. Why don't I just show it? Look, there you go. That's what it looks like. If you see that, you're in the right place. It looks like that on the homepage. Brilliant. Always nice to feature a new product. You're welcome. Right, let's see if there's any time for anything else. Probably not time for that. I do want to get to Michelle's piece because she dropped something in as well. So let's spread the love. Where is your piece? Here it is. This is apropos of nothing to do with WordPress, but how nice. How nice is this? What are we looking at, Michelle? You tweeted.
I tweeted a bird. If you click the play button on
Click
that,
the play.
you should see.
Here we go.
Yeah, so I have a bird feeder that sits in my house that the birds can access from the outside. And of course, because I am a techie, I had to put a camera on it. And so I was able to actually video this cardinal. I've had other birds as well. But the birds just recently found in the heavy snow, they found my bird feeder. And now sometimes when I'm sitting here working, I can actually look to the right and see birds eating in my bird feeder.
So this is literally bolted into your house. So that bird,
It is
for a brief
window.
moment, was inside the boundary of your actual house.
That's correct.
That's so cool. Can I just say that we don't
correct.
have birds like this in the UK? All of our birds are really uninteresting in comparison. That is brighter than any UK-based bird. It's red. We have red birds. That
is a male cardinal bird. Yeah.
Oh, you're looking very happy, I've got to say. Well, there you go.
Always red. It looks like an angry bird. Am I?
Oh,
They do. They do look like an angry bird.
Yeah, they do.
I think that the cardinals are and the blue jays are probably part of the angry bird repertoire.
Right.
Can I just say though, was he not? Was that bird? I say he. Was that bird not terrified of you? Like, does it not catch sight of you and go, "I'm out of here"?
Sometimes they do if I'm moving too quickly, but I actually wasn't in the room when this one was here. I was in my living room and I got a notification on my camera that he was there. So I opened up the app and videoed him.
I think that's great. I want this in my life.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Before we let you go, can I let you open up the private chat so that you can see breaking news that I put in there for you?
Oh, you can. Let me just try and copy that. Honestly,
it
I'm having so
literally
many
just
problems.
got published.
Okay, hold on. Copy that. Let me just open up a new tab. I'm trusting you. Here we go. Straight off the Post Status Press. Our evolving roles and go on, Michelle. Tell me what.
If you scroll a bit, so you'll see my face.
There you are. There you are.
I am, as of this morning, the new executive director at Post Status.
Whoa! What the heck? When did that happen? Today?
This morning, yes.
Oh, Michelle. Michelle, what does that mean? I know it's a swanky new job title, but what do you have to do that's different? That's so exciting.
Not a whole lot that's different. I've been doing a lot of the work behind the scenes, and I've been working with Corey to do some handover. And so basically, I'm the decider. I don't know. It's exciting. I get to work with Mike Klanick. I get to work with Yost and Marika, and of course continue working with Corey and Olivia Bissett as well. So it's exciting. Good.
Well, look,
we're doing good work over there. I think
straight away. That in a comment that did come through onto the chat, she's saying,
Birgit and I are each other's biggest fans. So thank you. Birgit.
And Lawrence, same thing. He says, "Whoa, congratulations!" Yeah, I'm blindsided by that.
So
great.
I continue to work at Stellar WP. That is my day job. That is my bread and butter. I love the work I do with our plugins. This is the additional work I've been doing with Post Status. And will continue to do. It's just I have a new title there, so I wanted to share that.
And Nathan Wrigley is the agency.
That's
awesome. No, that says Nathan Ingram. Sorry, that's not me. This is great. So we've had two updates to MainWP. We've had a new plugin which is not called Optimize. It's called Personalize WP. And Michelle's got a new job. What more could we have that That's brilliant. That's such a
Thank
nice
you for
way to
letting me
round
share
off
that.
the
I know
show.
we're over time, but I
No,
wanted
it's
to
okay. I'm
share.
happy with that. There was a bunch more that I was going to share with the audience today, but I think we'll round it off there because we don't have time. So it only remains for me to say, firstly, thank you, audience members. Sorry that the comments couldn't be shown. No idea what was going on there, but it's not my fault. I'm blaming
Gremlins.
Yeah, them. That's it. Yeah, that's what was in my head. I'm blaming the gremlins. And I would just like to say thank you to my three panelists, my co-host, see if I can get it right, Michelle Frechette, and our guests over there somewhere, Paul Halfpenny and Mark Benzacane.
There you go. Awesome.
You got it. Candy cane, benzocaine. You
That's
got
it.
Oh, you'll
I'm
never forget.
Never using another way of remembering it. Now we have to do the slightly humiliating wave, of course. So everybody, oh, look, straight off. It's so easy these days. Woohoo. There we go. Thank you very much. I don't know, we should be back next week. It is a day before I travel to WordCamp Asia, but I can't really see any reason not to do this show. So hopefully we'll be back in a week. Thanks for all your comments. Thanks for joining us. Go and share it elsewhere, and we will see you next week. Take it easy.
Thank you. Safe travels, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.